Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out the graffiti that changed a city.
For better or for worse, graffiti is normal in every city across the world. Spray paint, permanent marker, stickers, chewing gum, legal, illegal, good murals, bad murals, political statements, creative works of art, uninspired works
Hang on.
of
Y'all, I love graffiti. And I want to check these graffitis out. Mimi was here. Corpse. Jesus is Lord. Peace. See, this is interesting.
uninspired works of rubbish. It's unsightly and we could do without it. But
I like
for the
it.
most part, you won't notice it too much and you won't remember it. But what if I told you that somewhere there is a piece of graffiti so influential that it made its way into local music, art, design and culture? There were intense discussions on what the graffiti meant, the story behind it, and the artistic implications. And there was outrage when people found out that it might not be around for much longer. This is the story of the I Love You Bridge.
I love you, will you marry me? The I love you bridge. When I heard him say the I love you bridge, I was hearing Isle of You bridge. ISLE of You bridge, which sounds very British. I love you bridge. I'll love you bridge. I love you bridge. I'll love you bridge.
Welcome to
Sheffield.
Sheffield, the beating heart of Britain's industrial north. The jewel in Yorkshire's crown is home to over 500,000 people, and thousands more flock here daily to shop and to work.
Where's Sheffield? Show me on a map. Sheffield, UK. East of Manchester. North of Nottingham. Very good. Okay. All right. Let's look at some photos of it. Very cool. Beautiful. 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 Dope. Beautiful. Beautiful. Cool. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, dope. Okay. Sheffield played a crucial role in the Industrial Revolution. I've heard of that. Stainless steel. Crucible steel. All right. Sheffield's making stuff. I feel like I've been to Sheffield already. Tell me more.
Came time to rebuild the nation after the Second World War. City planners wanted construction materials that were cheap and easy to put together. There were over 1 million people left homeless by German bombings, and many more still living in crowded city slums that were unsanitary and below regulation. New homes were needed and fast. There was also a desire for something new. It was the atomic age, the beginning of the space race, and optimism that the world will recover even better than it was before. It was only right that the buildings constructed in this era reflected these ideals. But the desire for something cheap and efficient, but also radically modern, unintentionally led to the popularization of one of the most controversial
brutalism?
architectural styles of all time.
Is it called brutalism, I think? Yeah. I think it's cool. I like it.
One of the areas designated for renovation was the Park Hill area of Sheffield. In 1957, the Victorian slums would be cleared away and replaced with Park Hill flats, a revolutionary new idea in human habitation.
That is...
The idea was an
hang on.
upward city.
Hang on. Look at that. So they had all these old houses, row houses, right? That's what they're called. They knocked them down. It's very utilitarian.
A revolutionary new idea in human habitation. The idea was an upward city, 3-bedroom apartments for all families, interspersed with shops and
3
other civic
bedrooms.
facilities.
Nice.
The balconies were almost as wide as streets,
Oh,
giving
wow.
room for casual conversation among neighbours
Hey.
and giving
That's kind of cool. All right. Okay. So you don't get your own balcony, but yeah, that's okay. Right. Not bad.
as wide as streets, giving room for casual conversation
Kids
among
skipping
neighbours
around, he's
and
happy.
giving children room to play. Not that they needed
Skip
it though,
around?
because in the middle of the complex were large courtyards for community events and recreation.
That's a death trap right there. Monkey bars.
The buildings would create the best aspects of the former slums, this time with dignity and good sanitation. People of all kinds could live together in open, sunlit spaces with a real sense of community, because you were no more than a few floors away from your friends and family. Local pubs and shops were also on the bottom floor, while parents could watch from the balconies as their children walked to school. and every day
Okay.
the
sounds
residents would
great.
leave their apartments to be greeted by a view of the whole city. A noble, utopian vision, but it wouldn't last.
Yeah, they make it sound pretty great.
The industrial face of Britain, and 1980 opens with scenes of secondary picketing which became all too familiar in the 70s.
Foreign competition and a slump in demand for steel in the 70s led to the closure of many of Sheffield's steelworks, the city's primary industry. Every year, more and more workers were laid off to keep mills from going under.
Really? Heck, like steel? Steel? We still need steel. We still need steel. We still need steel. Visualizing 50 years of global steel production. Oh, China is rocking it right now. What year is that? 1993. Oh, in 1993, China overtook the U.S. A decline in steel demand saw U.S. steel production and industry employment numbers drop by 50%. That's from 74 to 84. Where's the UK on this? I guess it's lumped in with Europe? Okay. Didn't he say international competition? Foreign competition. So more other countries started making steel, and there was a slump in demand for steel. Okay.
Every year, more and more workers were laid off to keep mills from going under, until there were none left. In the surrounding suburban villages, coal mines faced closures and laying off of thousands. Nothing was introduced to replace the hole left by the closure of the steel mills, leaving the city with no industry at all. The already poorer than average industrial regions only got poorer. With the residents deprived of a job and money, Park Hill descended into a den of drugs and crime,
what are they
while
supposed to
the
do?
oppressive, outdated, monolithic, brutalist design did absolutely nothing to improve people's mental state. At least 25 people committed suicide jumping from the building's balconies. The walkways were poorly maintained and badly lit, making them the perfect place for muggings. By the mid-1990s, most people had moved out of the buildings, and they descended into ruin. Sheffield City Council wanted to demolish the buildings entirely, until English Heritage made the buildings Grade 2 star protected, the second highest designation possible.
Oh,
They thought the large, snaking complex was too iconic and historical to be demolished, so prohibited its demolition without explicit government permission. And for years, it stayed that way. Empty, falling to pieces, a blight on the landscape,
Get it outta
and
here.
nobody could get rid of them.
Nuke it.
Sometime in
Just-
April 2001, the phrase, "Claire Middleton, I love you, will you marry me?" appeared on the bridge between the Phase 1 and 2 blocks.
I love the way it looks. I love the handwriting. It
Love
looks
You,
like a
Will
child
You
wrote
Marry
it.
Me appeared on the bridge between the Phase 1 and 2 blocks. The building's caretakers saw the artist make it, but because the buildings were so run down, they didn't stop him and decided to just leave it
Aw,
up. The flats
great,
are
I
built
love
on a
that.
prominent hillside right in front of the train station and a bus terminal, making it the first thing commuters saw on their way to
rainbow.
work the next day.
Look. See, this makes it look like a beautiful area. Is that rainbow blocking rain? How does that work? Looks like it's blocking the rain cloud. We're in the Matrix.
It was an almost instant hit. Nobody knew who these people were, they had no connection to them, but that gave it a sort of romance, something you could spend hours wondering about. A certain sonder, recognition that other people have lives as complicated as your own.
The profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers passed on the street, has a life as complex as one's own, which they are constantly living despite one's personal lack of awareness of it. Empathy, y'all. Compassion.
For years, Park Hill Flats had been a blight on the landscape. The once utopian vision, the poster child of modern city living, was now a rotting limb the public were too ashamed to look at. The graffiti added something to make people pay attention, a message of optimism that demanded they actively think about its future. It's a symbol of explicit vulnerability in a world of concrete brutalism,
vulnerability.
drugs, despair,
Yeah.
and deprivation. It's two completely different human experiences combined in the same place. The sign is a romantic, idealized gesture written on a building well known for being the place people go to shoot up and escape the real world. The I Love You Bridge has been very influential on local city culture, most well known in the realm of music. Local bands have written songs directly inspired by the bridge. The Arctic Monkeys filmed a music video here, while Alex Turner has been seen performing live with a t-shirt emblazoned with the sign. A local brewery has produced a strawberry ale named after the sign. Artists have made sculpture pieces inspired by it. Writers have written poetry.
Yo, poetry break. The I Love You Bridge by Ruan Blair Culver. I guess that's a photo of him. Within a landscape of concrete and other created forms, a sub-suburban sanctuary with rolling cubic lawns. In coves of homes that peer from oblong fabricated walls are folk with minds and souls breaching in buildings so tall. Perhaps forgotten or misjudged significance led to time, people carry on running around their personal pantomime. And the dreams and lives of people existing up so high can be subconsciously swept so casually aside. When circumstance dictates and you walk through the lanes and you catch yourself straining at the highest window panes, perhaps you quietly ask yourself, how do they live like this? Then out of nowhere, the answer, I love you, scrawled on the highest bridge. I like it.
Poetry. Documentary filmmakers have analysed it to death. Painters have drawn it, etc., etc., etc. The message's actual story has become somewhat of a local urban legend. Some rumours went around.
Looks like somebody traced over it.
Actual story has become somewhat of a local urban legend. Some rumours went around that this was the product of a love triangle that ended in an arson attack. Others say that the artist proposed to Claire on the bridge. She said no, and the artist jumped to his death. Or that Claire was a heroin addict that died before she could give an answer. Several people have even falsely claimed the message was about them or someone they know. None of these are true. So what did happen to Claire Middleton? Who wrote it? Did she say yes? Did they live happily ever after? Here's what actually happened. This was a proposal from 21-year-old Jason to his then girlfriend, Claire Middleton. The pair were deeply in love, with Jason following Claire around town, asking for her to marry him almost constantly. Actually, that's kind of creepy. Let's cut that bit out.
Hang on. Yeah, wait. Yeah, that's creepy. He's constantly asking her to marry him. Jason, that's creepy.
With Jason following Claire around town, asking for her to marry him almost constantly. Actually, that's kind of creepy. Let's cut that bit out. They had been dating for a year when Jason decided to write the proposal. Because he is 6'6", it allowed him to paint it in a way that was hard to remove. At the time, the message was visible all the way from the local cinema, which is why, after a date there, Jason took Claire to view the message.
Good one, Jason.
She said yes.
Ah! Wait, so he kept asking her, and she kept saying no, but it was the message on the bridge that did it. Some illegal tagging turned her on. She likes the bad boys.
But it didn't go smoothly after that. The marriage was called off after only 3 months, not because of anything between the two of them, but because social services didn't think Jason would be a good father to Claire's existing children.
Wait, what? You can't do that. What? That's none of the government's business. There's a loving relationship going on there. How? No, I don't like that. The government can tell you who to marry and who to not marry? Hang on. This can't be real. No. I know this wouldn't happen in America. I'm not seeing anything about that directly. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of the video. There's got to be something else to this. They can't tell you to not marry somebody because the government thinks he'll be a bad father? I mean, unless he's really bad. What did Jason do? Okay, what?
Services didn't think Jason would be a good father to Claire's existing children.
None of your business, government.
And would have to take them away from her if the marriage went through. She did what nearly every good mother would do, and put her children first.
What choice does she have? Wow. Can you imagine? You're in love with this guy. This guy proposed to you by writing it on the side of a bridge of some slums? That's sexy. You say yes. You're happy. You're gonna get married. You're engaged for 3 months. And then the government says, if you marry Jason, you're gonna have to give your children up for adoption. What the f? I don't believe this. I don't believe the UK government would do this. This can't be real. This can't be real.
In 2006, Park Hill Flats underwent a renovation program, with development rights sold to the architectural restoration
they got
firm
some color on there.
Urban Splash. In the years since then, the apartments have been rebuilt, cleaned up, and rented out to tenants again. The exterior cladding was improved to down.
Look at that! Did you see the inside? Yeah. Look at that. Yes. Yes. This looks like a, what do you call that style? Neo-industrial or something like that, where you can see the exposed pipes and everything. Very popular in New York City. Maybe you've heard of it.
In the years since then, the apartments have been rebuilt, cleaned up, and rented out to tenants again. The
Great.
exterior cladding was improved to downplay the building's
take a little
brutalist
paint,
features,
do
and
some
the windows
landscaping.
were extended from floor to ceiling to let more light into the apartments. But if you're worried about gentrification, don't be. As part of the agreement, a quarter of all the flats are designated as social housing.
Nice.
Recognizing the graffiti's prominence and iconic status, Urban Splash made it a key logo of the new estate.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Good marketing, Urban Splash. Very American, if I must say. Enjoy the money.
Urban Splash made it a key logo of the new estate, reprinting it across the building on promotional material and across
Pillows.
the building
Yes.
lobby. At night, the graffiti is even illuminated in neon lights.
What? I don't know if I like that.
This
Hang on.
move was
What?
actually
That's why it looked like someone traced it. Its neon lights have been put over it. That's crazy. Maybe I do like that. I do like that. I like this. This makes me happy. But still, like, government can't tell you to marry. It's not cool.
illuminated in neon lights.
They didn't do her name?
This move was actually quite
Claire
well
Middleton?
received. Urban renovation projects have a tendency to do this thing called art washing, where soulless, meaningless corporate designs are printed all over renovated buildings to give only the
I like
appearance
it.
of culture,
I
with
like
no
it.
genuine attempts to conform to local tastes or way of life.
Meaningless nonsense and mural of famous locals. Y'all, the meaningless nonsense is wonderful too. It's better than a white wall. Stimulate your brain. Even if it's not about some famous local, it's still better. It's still
At least
good.
here, Urban Splash have taken local culture into account when designing the renovation. Others were less happy with the graffiti becoming a focal point of the renovation. Is it right that family and friends of the people involved should be constantly reminded of their grief? Or have it used as a marketing logo? Is this romanticizing poverty? Relatives of Claire hated the decision. They see it as a constant reminder of not only a failed marriage, but also that Claire died in 2007 at the age of only 30.
Oh, Claire.
Recognizing the personal nature of the message, Claire Middleton's name is not illuminated on the sign or featured in any of the marketing, which I say is only right. Jason is apparently very happy with the influence the sign has generated,
Oh,
though
poor
he
Jason.
does wish that they would include Claire's name because it was, ultimately, a message for her. But despite the controversy, the sign has remained up and been celebrated by the people of Steel City for 2 decades now.
That's great. I love this. Huh? What? Where'd it go?
On the 9th of February 2021, the people of Sheffield woke up to find the neon sign had been removed and the graffiti scrubbed away. Thousands were
F?
heartbroken. Many of the artists who took inspiration from the sign expressed dismay at the decision to remove it.
Why?
Urban Splash defended their decision by saying the sign posed a threat to the structural integrity of the building and that it had to be removed for safety reasons. I don't buy it though. There's no
either.
way a small amount of paint could somehow pose a threat to the bridge, never mind the structural integrity of the entire building.
Unless it was made of concrete eating acid. Maybe people were going up there and it's unsafe to go up there. There's no railing but it sounds like BS to me.
And yes, while they are planning to put the neon sign back and repainting the graffiti when the building is repaired,
Not the same.
it's not the same. It's just a replica. As for
Right.
Jason himself, well, he was originally angry at the decision too. After all, it's his artwork, and he technically owns the copyright, but he's
Really?
accepted the reassurance that it will be painted back on. This isn't the first time Jason has been done dirty by the developers. In 2016, the broke, homeless, jobless Jason says he contacted Urban Splash for support
He was homeless?
after they marketed the hell out of his artwork, perhaps accommodation in the building, or at the very least,
Yeah.
royalty payments.
Yeah.
They said no.
You can just say no? No, we're gonna use your artwork and not pay you. No. Urban Splash. What the
For most people who haven't lived in this city during the past 20 years, this is a big fat nothing burger. Who could possibly care this much about some misspelled vandalism written on a rundown, ugly building?
Is it
For
misspelled?
most people, it
Oh,
might seem that way. But for hundreds of thousands of Sheffielders, it was the message that greeted them when they got off the bus after a hard day's work. It was the sign that comforted university students leaving home for the first time at the train station. It was the inspiration for artists of all types, from musicians to craft ale brewers. It was a message of optimism in a period of depravity. And
That's the thing. It's a message of optimism. In a what of depravity? Period of depravity. Gross.
And it was a reminder of where we've come from as a city and where we're going as a community.
Well, is Def Leppard from Sheffield? They are! Holy crap! Yo, how did I know that? You know, sometimes trivial answers just come into your brain randomly. That sucks that it's not there anymore. Oh, this said it was reinstated in 2022? Hang on. Is it there now? Park Hill. Okay. Yes. There? Okay. This shows it being there. But it's hard to know when that photo was taken. The graffiti was added back to the building, and the next day the new neon lighting was added on top of it. Okay. There's the new one. Okay. Alright, y'all. It's back. It's not the original, which is sad. I wonder if it would have caught on more, or been more of a global sign, if it just said, I love you, instead of the will you marry me. If it just said, I love you, I feel like it would be more universal. The will you marry me part kind of confines it to a couple. Anyway, it's really f***ed up that the government can tell you to not marry somebody because they don't think they'll be a good parent. And Urban Splash isn't giving Jason money for that? Not even a place to live? Urban Splash. Go f*** yourself. Alright, anyway. This was really interesting. Hey, cheers to Sheffield. Cheers to Def Leppard. Cheers to Jason and Claire and Claire's children. Thank you all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.